Welcome to The Successful Invisible, Episode 8, Love Languages. Welcome to The Successful Invisible. I'm your host, Janelle, a life coach with a niche in relationship coaching. I'm speaking to my professional ladies out there who are 35 plus and seeking their happily ever after and are ready to embrace the challenge and journey of dating with more intentionality. Trigger warning, there is a bit of swearing involved. This episode is perfect for anyone who wants to learn more about the concept of love languages, wants to understand how they can become more self-aware of how they give and receive love when it comes to love languages, telltale signs that you are not recognizing your partner's love language, an easy way to have open, honest conversations about your love languages with your partner, and learn the secret to what I feel is every woman's love language. So today I want to talk about a concept that has been around for several years now when it comes to dating and relationships, and that topic is love languages. For a bit of background, The 5 Love Languages is a #1 best-selling book written by author, speaker, and counselor Gary Chapman. The 5 love languages are 5 different ways of expressing and receiving love. The book originally came out in 1992. However, it is still a very widely used and respected resource around communication in the context of relationships. It has also spawned many adaptations by the author of various types of audiences, for various types of audiences. For example, the 5 love languages for singles, 5 love languages of men, 5 love languages of children, etc. And I believe the original version has sold over 17 million copies to date. Now, the 5 love languages are words of affirmation, quality time, receiving gifts, acts of service, and physical touch. The inspiration for today's episode came from a common theme that I have been seeing lately in several client sessions. And that theme is for clients being unclear on what to get their significant other for the holidays. Just the FYI, at the time I'm recording this episode, it's holiday season with a major holiday coming up soon. When this theme has popped up during coaching sessions, the topic of communication has usually followed very closely behind it. This prompted me to explore on this week's episode whether or not effective communication is occurring in your romantic relationships, which also includes how you are shown love and how you are showing love to others. To begin, let's look at each of the 5 love languages in a little more detail. 1, words of affirmation. This language uses words to affirm people. Some examples of words of affirmation are saying, "Thank you for always saying the right thing. You are smart. You look wonderful in that outfit. I'm so proud of you. I love your smile. You are a dream come true. I not only love you, I like you. I love spending time with you. Thank you for thinking of me. Thank you for taking care of me. You are a wonderful friend. You did a great job. That looks fantastic. Dinner was amazing." 2, quality time. This language is all about giving the other person your undivided attention. Some examples of quality time are to make date nights a weekly event. Put it on your calendar. Take the dogs for a walk together. Take a walk around the block and talk. Spend uninterrupted time and attention focused on one another. Put Facebook away. Huge. Social media can be a huge impactor to spending quality time with your significant other. Go to the park. Go for a bike ride together. Volunteer at a non-for-profit together. Try a new restaurant. Make time to do planned but spontaneous activities. For example, block out every Saturday in the month. You block out 2 hours to potentially do something new in your city together with your romantic interest or your significant other. If you're married, go to bed at the same time. If you're married or live together, go to bed at the same time. Don't listen while juggling a million other things. Be fully focused on that person. Spend time reading to your children if you're trying to spend quality time with your children. But also, this can work in the context of a relationship by spending time actually reading to one another. It sounds crazy and childish, but it's actually quite sweet and romantic. And I've heard really great feedback from clients who've done it. Number 3, receiving gifts. For some people, receiving a heartfelt gift is what makes them feel most loved. Some examples of receiving gifts is to buy your significant other lunch and bring it to work for them. Pick them up a card from the store on the way home. Create a journal or photo scrapbook of special memories and then gift them with that. Bring them something home from a business trip that you know they would like. Bring home a bouquet of flowers. Purchase a book that you know they've been wanting to read. Give them a gift certificate for something that they like to do, or even something very practical like a car wash. Drop a small gift in their bag for work. Take them out to their favorite restaurant. Number 4, acts of service. For these people, actions speak louder than words. Some examples of acts of service include make them a cup of tea or coffee. Bring them something to eat or drink when you come out of the kitchen. Make the bed. Empty the dishwasher. Do the laundry. Bring the car for an oil change. Vacuum the house. Do something that you know needs to be done. Take a chore off of their list that's on their everyday list. Now, acts of service can be easier for couples that live together, but there are a million ways, if you just think and are creative, on how to do this, even if you all live in separate households. If you live in a place where there's snow, shovel someone's driveway. That is such a wonderful act right there. Being from the Northeast, that's a huge act. Make them breakfast. Put up decorations for a holiday if you know that's important to them. Back rubs, shoulder rubs, foot rubs. This does overlap with physical touch, but it's also definitely an act of service. And number 5, physical touch. To this person, nothing speaks more deeply than appropriate physical touch. Now, before we get into physical touch as a love language, I want to make it very clear. Number 1, I often hear that a lot of men, their main love language is physical touch. Please understand that physical touch does not necessarily mean sexual contact. That does not mean you're having sex with someone. That is part of it, but that is a small part of it. So, to be clear on what physical touch is or examples of physical touch as a love language, how that translates, some examples include a hug, holding someone's hand, patting them on the back, rubbing them on the shoulders, a kiss on the cheek, kiss on the forehead, caressing somebody's arm as you sit next to them and talk to them, put your arm around somebody's waist, put your arm around somebody's neck, to cuddle on the couch, stare into one another's eyes, wrap your legs around one another, just sitting up watching a movie. Now back to some recent coaching sessions where a lack of clarity around gift giving has come up. The number one thing I heard from clients is, I don't know what to get them. Then a common question I would ask in return is, what is your partner's idea of perfect when it comes to you all communicating? More often than not, this question was met with silence. As I asked additional questions for inquiry around the topic, it became evident in many sessions that one party was communicating in a way that wasn't being received by the other party. And this did indeed fully translate into how love, care, and affection was presented and received. So from the end of those sessions, or out of those sessions, the first step to greater self-awareness that would be useful to take is to go over to www.5lovelanguages.com. 5 is the number 5, not the word, and take the quiz. There's a free quiz on the website. It's really awesome, and you will get your results to understand your primary love languages. I consider the top 3 love languages that come out in your results. All 5 are there. They're just ranked. Or the 3 with the highest percentages would be your primary love languages, is what I would call your primary love languages. You first have to be aware of your own primary love languages before you can effectively communicate that to others. Now, in the next segment, we'll dig into some questions similar to those I would ask during a coaching session if we were exploring this topic in more detail. Welcome to the Questions for Reflection segment. Now let's take a deep dive into some inquiring questions that can help you learn more about your love languages. Remember, this is the interactive portion of the episode, and you can click on the link in the show notes to download the worksheet with all of the questions and exercises that will allow you to follow along by recording your responses. So let's get started. Question 1. After taking the quiz at www.5lovelanguages.com, what were your top 3 love languages? Question 2. How have you responded in the past when your significant others showed you love/appreciation by using one of your top 3 love languages? Question 3. In what ways will you interact differently in future relationships now that you're aware of your top 3 love languages? Question 4. How do you like to show love in romantic relationships? Please note your responses do not have to match the top 3 or the manner in which you like to receive love. They can be different, and oftentimes they are. Question 5. With the information you now have, what most likely seems to be the top love languages of your current romantic partner or partners? This is optional. If you're not in a relationship, just skip it. Now, in the next segment, I want to share some of my personal thoughts on love languages in a relationship. Welcome to the Just My Thoughts portion of the episode, where I give my personal opinions on a topic. This is just Janelle, an individual, and not Janelle as a professional coach. These are personal opinions, people. So today, I definitely have lots of thoughts and lots to say on the 5 love languages. I feel they are very approachable, they are very digestible, and a very easy way in which to better understand yourself as well as your romantic partners when it comes to the subject of love, how you like to be communicated to, and how you like to be shown love. So I want to first start by saying, let's look at some of the telltale signs that I've observed that a person is not recognizing their partner's love language. So sign number 1, they give little to no reaction or even an opposite reaction than what's expected to something that you've done. So for instance, say you are in a relationship and you did something that you thought was a big gesture showing love, etc. for a person, such as you maybe wash the dishes in their sink, because maybe the way you show love is acts of service. However, your romantic partner, that may not be one of their top love languages, and the best way they receive love may be quality time. However, if you two don't know that, there's going to be a disconnect in how you communicate. And this can be really rough in the dating stages when you're still really getting to know one another and can cause you to draw false conclusions. So in that scenario, I think what would happen is the person who washed the dishes would expect a huge thank you. They would be expecting a big recognition from the person for whom they washed the dishes. However, the person whose dishes were washed may kind of look at that and think, why would you wash my dishes? Because acts of service may not be one of their top love languages. Sign number 2, someone saying thank you isn't regularly occurring when one party does or buys things for the other party in the relationship. So side note, This could just be a sign of someone who is ungrateful, selfish, or lacks manners. If any of those apply, you may want to reevaluate who you're choosing to be in a relationship with. Showing appreciation, saying thank you, saying please, having manners, that doesn't go out of style. No one should ever be too comfortable to have good manners toward one another. Sign number 3, and I feel this is a bit of an extreme example, but it does often happen. When one party in a relationship does something really nice for another party and the other party doesn't acknowledge it, it's not that they don't say thank you, they aren't even aware of what the other party has done for them. So they kind of skip over it altogether. Many times where I have observed this happening the most is when women do something small and they feel very thoughtful for a boyfriend, a significant other, etc. And there's no acknowledgement of this thing that they have done. What then will happen is feelings like that, I observe, this is not every couple, of course, the woman will just not say anything and she'll kind of let those feelings of not being appreciated fester, and it comes out during a maybe dispute that couple has that has nothing to do with that thing, but that is something that she's been holding on to for a while. So if you are the type to do what you consider very thoughtful or nice things for someone that you're dating, and you don't feel it's that they're just being rude or lack manners, because they are very evident in showing that in other areas of the relationship, be vocal. Be honest and upfront with them about the thing that you have done. Don't expect everyone to notice subtleties or little things, maybe like you do. Just a tip. That's a sign, but it's also a sign for the person doing these things to be more vocal about what they're doing. And it's also will help the other party in the relationship become more aware of the little things. Now, moving on, an easy way to have open, honest conversations about your love languages with your partner is to make it a game. See, this is where love languages and communication intersect. A fun way to get your partner in a groove with love languages and understanding on one another's style of communication, style of wanting love to be shown to them, is to have your partner take the quiz at www.5lovelanguages.com and then share your results with one another and open up the floor to discussion. This is a great time. This is a great way to have a fun activity, a result, and then it leads into a discussion. This is also an optimal time to give very specific examples to one another. So be open to sharing some examples, but also be open to receiving some feedback of how your partner wants to be shown love in this scenario. For example, say I shared the results of my love languages test with my partner. I know my top 3 love languages and how I like to be shown love are receiving gifts, acts of service, and quality time. So basically, I like someone who buys me things, does shit for me, and spends time with me. This means I would say something like, hey babe, one thing I really appreciate when it happens is when you cook dinner during the week, or when you go take my car for an oil change and I don't have to ask you to. Or when I talk about a pair of shoes, side note, I'm a bit of a shoe fanatic, that I have my eye on, and you just go get them and purchase them for me as a surprise. You get the gist of how taking the quiz and sharing the results can help you better understand how you like to receive love. On the flip side, I know one of the biggest ways that I, for one, like to show love is acts of service. I don't really have a top 3 in this for showing love, but acts of service is my big one. My thing is, if I'm with you and I'm for you, I like to do things for you. Now, I'm not talking about anything extreme, like in a maid capacity, but I definitely like to do things for you. Now, this last point I want to share in this portion of the episode, I have come to believe that there is universally a love language of every woman, and it's not one of the top 5 mentioned above. However, I think if any person is pursuing a relationship with a woman can accomplish this, they're likely to get the attention of the woman that they are interested in. So are you ready? The secret unspoken love language of every woman on the planet is safety. That's right. If you can make a woman feel physically, emotionally, psychologically, and financially safe, I feel there's a very high likelihood she will respond to you in a positive way. Now understand, not all of these 4 categories are going to happen at the same time. They actually happen in stages. So first, a woman has to feel physically safe around you. No brainer there. No one wants to be involved with someone that they feel threatened by. Next, as she gets to know you, she has to feel emotionally and psychologically safe in order to trust you enough to open up. Because being vulnerable is not easy. And most women have been through enough things, and they range, of course, in impact and scale, but they've been through enough things emotionally in relationships that they may have their guard up. They likely have their guard up. Next, as a relationship progresses, a woman needs to feel like she's financially safe. So this also translates as you, the person pursuing this woman, are financially stable, independent of her. I have to admit, no grown woman wants to think that they're getting in a relationship that they think someone is going to be leeching off of them. It's not very attractive. And it makes a woman feel very unsafe. Yes, there's definitely more nuance to this, but I feel at a minimum, every woman speaks and responds to the language of the person pursuing her, making her feel safe. Thank you for taking the time to join me today on this episode of The Successful Invisible. I'm your host, Janelle, and I hope you gained meaningful insights from today's episode. If you're ready to dive deeper on your own personal journey when it comes to dating and relationships, book a discovery call through the link in the show notes so we can work together one-on-one. I look forward to you joining me again on next week's episode. Until then, I'm your host, Janelle, signing off for now.